Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dice Camera Action.
Yay!
Yeah! No DM, anarchy.
That's right.
No DM.
As you have noticed,
We're all gods.
That's right. There is no Chris Perkins joining us today, so we do not have a dungeon master, as we're going to be doing a special episode. So where we last left off the party, Paulton, thanks to his special snake abilities, led us to the city of Omu, and on the way we found a crashed airship, the Star Goddess, did some stuff, and Paulton put on the Ring of Winter. But we're actually going to rewind time just a little bit, as we were in Oralunga, where we had met the Mystic Naga lady who directed us to Omu, the Snursen. And on the way from Oralunga to Omu was a few days of travel. This is going to take place during those few days of travel. And joining us for this episode is our special guest, Mark Humes. And Mark, from here, I'm actually going to just let you take it away.
Really quick, I'd like to imagine, like, cinematically, like, I put the ring on, and then it cuts, and then it just kind of does, like, a...
Yeah.
And then it goes to like cliffhanger. Anyway,
you might be wondering how we got ourselves to this kind of situation kind of deal, like a freeze frame. Yeah, so you guys were, I'm going to kind of, I apologize if I slip into DM mode, I can't help it, but you guys were traveling from Oralunga to Omu, and you've been traveling through the jungle. I think it took you guys about 2-3 days, right? So
it's like 3 days at least.
Yeah, so on maybe sort of the morning of day 2, you're traveling through Chult. It's hot, it's humid, it's sweaty and miserable, and the jungle is really, just all around you. You generally don't see signs of life. You see the fading kind of crumbling stones of Chultean and Omuan sort of cultures, but generally you don't really see any signs of life. Maybe fend off a couple of flying monkeys and things like that, maybe a couple of assassin vines. But on the morning when your stomachs are starting to get a bit grumbly, maybe you've only been eating trail rations, you've been drinking kind of, filtered water, you kind of start to hear this strange sound, and you can hear just kind of coming up a little distance away, maybe, 60 feet or so. You begin to hear this kind of old voice, and it sounds like singing. And you kind of hear this kind of faint trail of a song, a kind of, my pretty shell girl sat by the sea, my pretty shell girl waiting for me. And you see kind of crouched on a little kind of overturned log with a kind of very ramshackle but not very well kept campsite is this shelled turtle, this kind of old turtle, but he's wearing a hat, like a kind of floppy fisherman's canvas straw hat. And he's kind of there, and you can see that he's fumbling with something in these giant sort of claw-like flipper hands. And his shell has all these different colored markings and drawings and patterns on it. And you can see that there's just stuff everywhere. And he's just idly humming to himself. And you notice for the first time that there's no real sense of death, or there's no sense of decay around him. It's all fairly good vegetation. There's no animal sounds. And you can just see this little fella just singing along, kicking his feet by this large rock.
Am I going barmy, or does anyone else see that? Is it just me?
No.
Who? What?
I didn't say anything. I go hide in the bush.
And you hear that, you can see this turtle kind of looking around, and he's got like a little walking stick, and he's prodding at rocks and things like that. Is that you? And he's like poking at the stones and logs and things like that. But you're not sure if if he's necessarily heard where you're from. But you can smell something. There seems to be some sort of cooking fire going, and you begin to smell sort of sweet spices. And
I like that. I pop out of the bush.
And yeah, he kind of... Okay. You can just see this little old fella kind of sitting on the log. And you see he kind of turns around and he's kind of squinting your way, looking over. He's like, oh, is someone there? Hello?
Yes, hi. Hello, friend. I'm Evylyn. And this is Diaz and Strix and Paulton.
What's up?
And you see...
friendly.
Well, yeah, when you pop up, his eyes kind of go wide, and you can see that this turtle is old. He looks ancient. His skin is extremely leathery. He kind of shakes a little bit with every kind of movement, and his head kind of wobbles as he looks up. He's like, oh, my goodness, look at you. And he kind of like taps you on the leg. Is it still Robot Evylyn? Like it little clangs a little bit. Like, bing,
I
bing, bing.
love him.
Like, what? It's a metal woman. Oh, and he's like hanging away. And he's just like, and what have we got here? A small metal boy and a man with a big bladder? What is this contraption he wears? What is this? And he's pointing at Paulton's bagpipes, and he's just like kind of pointing his stick at you. Not one to get many visitors out here in Chult. What are you doing around here, these folks? These parts,
Just passing through. We're just trying to get our way to Omu. We didn't mean to disturb you.
No, you, boy, come here. And he kind of waddles over. And he kind of,
I look at Diaz. I'm just like, yeah, boy, go over there. Go be a good boy for it.
And he holds up his little clawed kind of hands, and he's like, oh, look, you're so small and skinny. And he's like looking at your arms. He's like, oh, no, this won't do.
Chuckling from the bush.
Bush! And he goes over to the laughing bush, and he starts thrusting his...
No!
Like,
No!
Monkey! What is this?
Stop it!
I like this guy.
Pile of cloth. What are you doing?
No, I'm not.
Mimic!
Oh, it's a mimic. Look out.
No,
Watch out.
No, it's not a mimic, Strix. It's fine.
It's out to steal your turtle stuff.
Don't fireball him. Don't you dare fireball him.
She's running from him, and I imagine he's just like trying to hit her with his stick, and she's like, no!
He doesn't get very far. This turtle does not chase you very far. He maybe takes 3 steps, and he's like, no, I need to sit down. Oh. He turns and he's like, well, you don't look like you're undead, and you don't look like you're dinosaurs. So you are you hungry? Hungry?
That's so nice. But who are you? What's your name?
Oh, my apologies, metal woman. Clang, clang, clang. Now my name is Zopa. I am Zopa.
Oh, Zopa.
But you,
Zopa.
Is it Zopar or Zopa?
Zopa.
I don't. She looks at Paulton like, did you hear a difference?
I'm gonna call him Turtle.
That's kind of diminutive.
And he points at Paulton. He's like, can you chop vegetables?
I mean, I didn't even apply for a job, so.
Well, you've got one now, boy. You need something to do with these idle hands. Come with Zopa. Come sit.
Are we trapped here?
All right. I guess this is my life now.
Strix is gonna go around the camp and start like checking to see if they're trapped or in another dimension.
No. He's like throwing like sticks and rocks at you. He's just like, I mean, you can make an investigation check, I guess, or a perception check.
Sure. I'm gonna roll some dice.
Yeah.
I rolled a 1.
Please be the only roll throughout the whole episode.
We'll just leave it at that one. So, Strix, you're kind of looking for traps, and you can see one of the few things that you notice, you kind of get quickly distracted because you can see that among all of this weird turtle stuff, like there's cooking equipment, there's actually got 2 campfires going and like various like bits and bobs here and there. But you notice he's got a lot of like well-worn traveler's kits. You can see things like maps sticking out of like little pouches. You notice like strange little ornaments, like you notice things from Waterdeep and Arm, the city of Arm itself, like a satchel emblazoned with a messenger's symbol from Arm.
He's been far.
Yeah, you kind of get that sense, but you don't notice with your colossal perception of 1 there that he kind of claps his hands and a kind of an opaque sphere kind of rubs out. If you're familiar with the spell Leomund's Tiny Hut, this kind of spell.
Oh, we're familiar.
Yeah. So you kind of notice that he pops this spell around and it kind of enshrouds his campsite. And he's like, no need to worry about monsters now. Old Zopa looks after guests. Now, and he kind of sits down and he looks at you. He's like, now, you know I am Zopa. Who are you? You, boy.
Yeah, boy. Tell him, boy.
That's enough. Damn it.
Spirited young man. I like him.
My name is Dieth Woodrow.
Dieth Woodrow. I'm very pleased to meet you. And what of the walking mimic? The cloth mimic.
That's not my name. My name is Strix. My last name is up for debate, but I'm pretty sure it's Skizix, but I would rather it not be. But maybe that's not even my name. Maybe my name isn't my name. I don't know. Hi.
No, you're Strix.
You say a lot of words. And you idle man, the busy hands, unbusy hands. What is your name?
Oh, well, they call me Count Strad von Zarevich.
No!
Count Strad.
Too soon!
Mm-hmm. So,
his name is Paulton.
I'm known around these parts. And the great
hand on the mouth right now.
Well, my lord. Well,
no, his name is Paulton. He's not a lord.
But he's.
I like try to squeeze through the mage. I'm just like, and Count Strad will not be reduced to chopping vegetables.
Very well, Count. And he's like turns around. I will have another task for you. What about you, metal woman? Ping, ping, ping.
Oh, thank you. That tapping's real nice. My name's Evylyn, Avalona Helvig Marthane, servant of Lathander, and I'm just so pleased to meet you.
Oh, very friendly. You say a lot of things. How do you work? And he's like, I've seen some golems in my time, but not one like you.
I don't know.
She met her god.
Yeah.
Power.
Well, I do know. Dick. I mean, look, she
don't
kind of
say
like
that. He might hear you.
Yeah, she slaps him a little, like hits him on the arm, like, don't say that. Shh. She kind of shows him like the like joint between her shoulder and like, you know, her chest piece where you can kind of see some of the gears inside, and you can see that like they're kind of ticking and whirring. She's like, isn't it amazing? It just works because Lathander wants it to work. Isn't it cool?
Yes, I have never seen magic or engineering of this kind before. So wonderful. Now, you are clearly 4 very colorful characters. Well, you don't look like you've had good food for a few days. I was going to cook up my hot pot, but with you, I can cook a large batch if you like, and you can have a hot meal, and you'll be quite safe here for some time if you wish. Old Zopa knows how to make a campsite and make it safe. Is you wish to?
We would be delighted to have some hospitality.
The Count approves.
I don't think we've ever had hospitality before.
He gives a little bow to Paulton. Oh, well, I have learned many things. Cooking is not one of my finest skills, but I've learned a trick or two. We'll need a few things, but, well, I tell you what, and he kind of starts divvying out a few things, and he hands out, he pulls out from a kind of a satchel bag that looks like it's quite thin, but he pulls out a cockatrice carcass and what appears to be wrapped up steaks. And he's like, well, I need someone to defeather and to pluck, well, to defeather the cockatrice. And I need somebody to tenderize this ankylosaurus steak.
Oh, I like tenderizing.
All right, Evylyn, of Metal Evylyn, you do this. And he kind of lays it down on a rock and he gives you like a rolling pin. And he's like, you tenderize that well. You trash mimic, sticks.
Come on now. Sticks. Tricks, not sticks. I'm not a mimic.
He hands you the cockatrice to defeather, and then he hands over to Diath a bunch of what appear to be onions, like kind of leaky onions. Oh. He's like, now you cut these, chop these, my boy, My Lord Count, of course, I would not dare give you a task so meaning. But perhaps you could start a tale, something to. Why? How did the four of you come to travel together? I'm a collector of stories of sorts. I would greatly desire to hear how four such as yourselves have been found yourselves here.
Evylyn's like whacking this meat with the tenderizer. She's like, "Oh, that's a great story, Dieth and Strix. You have to start it because you guys met first."
Strix is biting the feathers off of the raw cockatrice carcass, and there's a bunch in her mouth, and she's just like, "What?"
The story. He wants to know how we met. He wants to hear our story.
Dieth takes out one of his throwing daggers and uses that to kind of start what he assumes is a proper way to cut up an onion. He's not actually super
Does it make him cry?
They are quite pungent when you start chopping into them. What are they called? Sear shoots. They have they're very pungent, but they're not enough to make someone cry.
Yeah, if there's a nearby fire that should kill the tear gas, it should be okay.
Yeah.
And then Dieth will say how we came together.
Well, tell him about how you met Strix. I love that story.
Dieth found me in the trash. She's biting things off.
Yes, that seems to fit. Yes.
It's not. I mean, it's not entirely far from the truth, I guess. I mean, it was in Waterdeep, and I was just simply enjoying a lunch that I was having on the rooftops, away from people, away from guards, away from peering eyes, and in the crowds, I just saw this black mass moving in a very peculiar way, and it was weirdly fascinating because I'd never seen anything like that. And I also saw how every person passing by treated her like she was nothing. And I
thought it was because I smelled.
Maybe.
That could be true.
Maybe, but I'm not sure if it was pity or empathy or whatever it was, but I know what that feeling is like too, and it wasn't right, and she was clearly hungry. So I just slowly figured out where she'd like to stay, which alleyway she'd like to be at, and I just started leaving Strix a little bit of food just so that she wouldn't have to go hungry.
My favorite were the pies.
Yeah, I could tell you took a liking to those.
She just takes off some more feathers, and she's just like, yeah, they were the best. I like pies.
Yeah, it took some time, but eventually she grew to trust me, and I trust her. I mean, this was after you threw a firebolt at me.
I'm sorry about that. I remember.
Wait, I don't know about that. Why'd you do that?
It's easier than talking. I had just come back from the plains, and I didn't know that much about Toril or the people here, and so it was just
it's not her fault. I slipped on something and made a noise, and it spooked her. I was just trying to make sure that she's getting the food, but I guess that's officially the first time you saw me, and your initial reaction was to throw fire.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Now I don't hit you with the fire, though.
Yeah.
Well, she had good reasons. She had lots of reasons to throw fire. She had a hard time before that, didn't you, Strix?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It was bad. But, I mean, it was just, I was going around the plains, and after I'd been released from my grandmother, who actually turns out to was a crazy hag, Baba Yaga. Remember that? Yeah, she wasn't a grandma. Whoops. Grandma's real evil. But as soon as I got out of the Feywild, I was traveling after Sigil, and then that's how I ended up in Toril. But Sigil was the worst. The Hive was the worst. I collected bodies for Jink and brought him to the Dustman. And that's how I made money.
You came here, and then did you traveled with this young you traveled with young Woodrow here, and this is how you met the others, perhaps?
Yeah, I guess we were together for a few years, and I didn't really have a job. Neither of us really had money, but I was just trying my hand at, I guess, being an adventurer is what you would call it. We never really got into fights. We would basically tried to find anything that we could around the city of Waterdeep. it was enough to get by. We weren't finding grand treasures or getting rich or anything, but it was enough to sometimes have a nice meal or somewhere to sleep at night.
Or somewhere to bake a
I know
pie.
this.
Or somewhere to make a pie.
I know this life well. Yes.
And
how did you meet Evylyn and such?
That's actually how it came to be. Is one night we had enough coin to either have, there's a choice between a good meal or a nice bed. And after several days of travel, we went with nice bed. So we went to an inn, and it just so happens that Evylyn was there.
Yep.
I didn't really pay much attention to her at first.
Well, I went there every day back then. Because, I'm sure that if you've traveled as much as you have, you know that the most important things in life are beauty and joy and preserving the light. And what better way to experience beauty and joy and preserve the light than to listen to music? So, working as a paladin of Lathander all day and trying to help people and being at the hospital and then, fighting monsters and whatever else Lathander would want, I'd get real tired. And then to recharge, as Lathander ordered, I would find some beauty, and I love to listen to music. And one day I just heard the most beautiful music coming out of this kind of seedy place, but I went inside and I saw Paulton, and he was playing music, and it was just the most beautiful music I had ever heard. And so I just started going and watching him every single night.
It wasn't that seedy.
I mean, you're right. It was real nice. And you were,
it was seedy enough.
Yeah. But that first one, you couldn't play there anymore for whatever reason. And then we went to a different one, and then you couldn't play there anymore for whatever reason. But then finally we ended up at the Rusted Pommel, and that's where Dieth and Strix came.
Oh.
But I mean, I didn't really say much to Paulton back then. I don't know. Do you even remember me coming to that first place, Paulton?
The first place, let's think. Well, I wasn't allowed to play there anymore because, let's just say the staff there wasn't thick-skinned enough for my performance. And then the second place, that was the same reason, I would say. It just I'm an acquired taste, and a lot of people just don't really know how to fathom my performance. It's you need a certain intellectual level to really understand it.
Oh yeah, it's high art for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
From what I remember.
Are we talking about the bagpipes here?
He's very good at bagpipes.
I'm good.
He's very
really
good. I
All
know
right.
music, and he's good. But see, he didn't even notice that I was there.
No, of course not. I never take notice to fans whatsoever. They're just, that it's part of the lifestyle. It just comes with it, Maybe occasionally, maybe I'd recognize a repeated face from time to time, but I don't allow such attachments to happen in my career.
When you're famous, you just can't pay attention to everyone, I mean, I understand that. But yeah, that's how we ended up at the Rusted Pommel. And I was listening to a set that Paulton was playing, and I knew every song. So, of course, I was singing along. But I noticed Dieth and Strix come in, and they look real nice. And
We did not look nice. I think you're just...
Yeah, I don't think that's kind of you, but I don't think we looked nice. I mean, we were just minding our own business.
I didn't look nice.
Yeah, it's just when you stay in Waterdeep long enough, doing the things you do, at some point you do develop a sort of reputation.
Oh, yes.
Either through truth or not. Anyway, we were tired. That's all we wanted to do. And we were there. I don't even know what. We were just what? Maybe having a snack, some snickety snooks or something, Strix, and out of nowhere.
Yes, that's what I was doing.
This jackhole accuses me of stealing his stuff, which I would never do.
That bartender sucked.
Yes.
He didn't like Paulton's music either. He was a real snob, and he didn't know anything about music, and obviously didn't know anything about people. I did not like that guy. I only came to his establishment to listen to Paulton.
Mm-hmm. It had nothing to do with the fact that I was completely hammered and couldn't even find any of the keys whatsoever. It was
of course.
I thought it sounded real nice.
He accused me of stealing, which is one of the worst feelings. But I mean, I don't even have an answer for this part, but for whatever reason,
he saw
Evylyn,
you with a tiefling. That's why he was mad.
it's not just you, Strix, but more importantly, Evylyn, who I don't know if I've ever really had that before, stepped in.
Well, he's just a big jerk. I've seen him bully other people all week, and I was tired of it. And I thought you guys looked real sweet, and we're just having a nice little romantic dinner. And I just wanted to make sure that it didn't get ruined.
It wasn't romantic. We were just trying.
I was covered in garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't mean, well, anyway, but I had seen this coin pouch that he said you stole earlier that day. He just lost it. And I was just tired of, and he looked like he was going for the club underneath that bar, and he looked like he was menacing. So I stepped in because I didn't want him to hurt you. And then, I gave him a little bit of a talking to, just a little one, just reminded him about his responsibility.
You got the whole bar to fight.
I couldn't help it that when I explained that maybe he should, not be a prejudiced prick all the time, that some of his patrons agreed with me and started yelling at him. And then they started yelling at each other about, oh, my drink is too weak and you shortchanged me and you owe me money and you and my mother. And, and soon enough, everyone was punching each other. And
they started throwing their food, which then I took off the ground.
That sounds like Waterdeep.
Yeah, it did feel nice to know that he was a jerk to everyone and not just us.
And then, he came at Strix, heaven knows why. And
it's because I'm a tiefling. You've never... See, she points at her horns. These are bad to everyone else besides this group of people.
Well, they're not bad to me. And I think that's just silly. So I punched him in the face.
It was great.
It was awesome.
I remember that.
Yeah. And then he fell down, of course.
And it was just a single blow, just right between the eyes. Just even from where Evylyn stood, she just instantly fluttered up super fast. Just pop. It was impressive. And this guy just goes thud, just instantly down. By this point, the entire bar was just kind of going at it. People accusing each other, finally getting their rage out. Maybe they're just drunk enough. But I've been around Waterdeep enough to know that this was a seedy place, and we had to get out of there really, really fast because someone was going to call the guards. For sure.
I didn't want to leave because I felt bad that I knocked him out so hard. I just wanted to make sure he didn't hurt anybody. So I was trying to stay and heal him and stop the bar fight and stop people from damaging things. But Dia convinced me that part of Waterdeep was pretty seedy, and those guards weren't going to listen.
You had just done the both of us a huge favor, so the least I could do is make sure you didn't get in trouble. So I knew the guards were coming. I knew we had to get them out of there. And I told Evylyn that we had to leave as soon as possible before they showed up because they aren't just seedy guards. They're bribed. They're corrupt. They'd rather join the fight than stop it. Anything that they can do to bloody their swords, even just for a night. So I just knew we had to get out of there.
Yeah. So
you took to the road.
Yeah, we did. But, Paulton seemed to be kind of under the weather that night, and I didn't want him to get caught up in the scuffle. So as we were leaving, I just asked, "Hey, do you want to come with us?" And I don't know why I did, but he did.
And I did. I said, you know what? This seems like as good a time as any to, venture out and, find new horizons. So they invited me. So I said, you know what? Let's do it. So then I went into the back room. I grabbed my stuff, went into my locker. I went to the coin pouch that I'd stolen from the owner earlier, and then we left.
Wait, you stole a coin pouch?
Oh, right. I didn't mention. That was me. My bad.
Oh,
Oh my god.
wow.
As always, the stories come full circle.
Huh.
Well, what a wonderful tale. It's such a strange beginning, and now you'll find yourselves in Chult.
Well, of course we had to, once we were out in the street, we realized that Dieth and Strix didn't have anywhere to go. And I guess neither did Paulton once he lost that place at the inn. So I had the barracks at the Spires where I stayed. And of course, anybody's welcome there. So they stayed with me a night, and then they helped me with some errands of Lysander. And then they stayed with me another night. And then, I had lots of jobs and adventures to go on. And most of the things that they needed to do involved, striking down monsters and stuff, which I'm real good at and Lysander wants me to do. So we just kind of started adventuring together, and we just never stopped.
Yeah, it just fell into place. We were trying to search dungeons, caves, lairs, whatever we could for the sake of adventure. Evylyn wants to make the world a better place. I guess our goals just kind of aligned.
Lone birds flock together, as they say. Well, I have a quick task that I will say for the hot pot. Where there's a few ingredients we need, and Zopa kind of points at Evylyn and Paulton. The two of you, you seem strong and hardy, and I know that the Count Paulton Strahd obviously can take care of himself, and metal is strong. There's some mushrooms not far from here, a few meters of feet perhaps. He kind of hands you like a sketchy looking drawing, his hand sort of shaking as he does. Would you take these, gather a small basket of these for me if you would?
Oh, sure. So Evylyn's still hitting that with the...
No, this is
pin?
Fine. It's very tender.
Are you sure
very
it's done?
Oh,
Are you
yes.
sure? Okay.
Oh, this is the most tender ankylosaurus I think has ever been seen.
Okay.
But no,
like in
you have done
shreds.
excellent.
Yeah, it's just flattened. It's, this is Schnitzel. This is Ankylosaurus Schnitzel at this point.
Evylyn's like mechanical arms just been like, meh, meh.
And yeah, Zopa hands you like a little basket, and he kind of hands a little kind of sketchy piece of paper. Well, go, the two of you. My old legs and shell can't go that far now. Well, go, off you go. And then he turns to Diath and Strix, and says, I will need your help in getting a good, slow but hot fire going.
Strix is good at that.
Oh, yeah,
good,
Strix
yes.
just, like, snaps her fingers, and the fire just goes.
Like,
Sorry.
and then he just kind of he's just like, I am going to just go over my recipe. You make sure that fire stays hot and slow. We want it a continual burn, nice and even heat.
Yeah, sure. I'll get right on that.
I'm done with this
Don't
cockatrice, by the
Zopa.
way. She like shakes the naked cockatrice in front of him.
Oh yes, give that to Zopa. I will deal with this. You just talk amongst yourselves. Zopa will deal with this now.
And he starts like pulling it apart and chopping it up and things like that.
Oh, that's my favorite part.
You just look over sadly as he's like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
He occasionally pops the chicken feet in his mouth and like spits them out.
Oh.
Diaz will just keep at the onions using his throwing dagger. He's like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Do I cut the green part?
Strix is like, no, you got it. No, here, like shows him like, you gotta cut these.
Yeah,
parts.
please.
I don't want to get. I mean, I'm gonna cut myself if I get a word or a knife. So
Just show me how to do it.
okay, Strix will show you how to do it, and she'll like take your dagger and just like thin pieces. If you're too thick, no one's gonna want to eat it. It'll be like eating a stick or a rock.
Oh,
I've eaten rocks.
all right. This is already nicer than anything I've ever made.
And Evylyn and Paulton, you guys, once you kind of step outside the opaque sort of Learman's hut bubble, the jungle's quite quiet, and there's a kind of the sun is kind of slowly rising. It's still quite early morning, and the sound dies down, and there's almost a serene peace to this kind of area. It seems that the sort of taint that has maybe infested other parts of Chult hasn't quite reached into this section of the jungle. Flowers occasionally bloom. You can see like moss and herbs growing up the sides of trees, and it's just quite quiet and a little bit serene.
Did you hear where he said we were supposed to get these mushrooms, Paulton?
I haven't heard much of anything all day. Who was that guy?
I mean, he seems nice, and he wants us to get some mushrooms. So I don't know. We should probably look for him.
Work.
It's fine. I'll look for him. You just come keep me company.
Fair enough. I will provide the ambiance, and I will just like strum a little something on the mandolin.
Oh my goodness. It's like the old days. And even kind of closes her eyes and listens. And she's like, did you really steal that pouch? Was that really you?
Like, I mean, is it a problem if I did? Because I didn't realize that was. No, of course not.
I mean, I just didn't know. I mean, I didn't know that you ever stole anything. I mean, I thought you made so much money from playing music.
Oh, wow. That is quite a statement. We had jumped from shitty bar to shitty bar because, I would get a little bit disorderly during my performances, but to be fair, I was being grossly underpaid. So
I believe that.
I had reason to. It was very upsetting. It's not a good time for the industry, So
the art industry?
Yeah, let's go with that. But it hasn't been easy. At least it wasn't before. Not that it's been easy, because not that what we've done is easy, but it's been more stable in a way, if that makes sense.
You think so?
Maybe not stable, but consistent is the word I'm looking. It's been consistent with this adventuring. So that's been okay.
I don't know. I've been meaning to talk to you because I feel like I haven't made it much easier. I haven't made it real consistent. I feel like I owe you a real big apology, Paulton.
Why?
Well, I mean, it's probably obvious why, but you're right. I should say it because I should own it. But when we did the ritual and I was about to be pulled into who knows what by the soulmonger, I thought that what was happening was that I was being found unworthy to pass on into Lathander's courts. And I thought that was my just reward. And I thought that when you rescued me, that was you thwarting Lathander's plan. And I know that's so stupid now. I know how stupid that is now. I know that you were just an instrument of his good and that you did something so amazing and so beautiful. And then the first thing I did is look at myself in the mirror and think about myself and ask you to kill me and completely discount what you had done. And I just must have ruined something so beautiful and so perfect that you did. And I know how wrong that was and how unkind that was. And it's just been weighing on me. And I'm real sorry.
I don't do anything for a god. I do what I think is right. I didn't do what I did because I was like, oh, I am an instrument of Mr. Shiny Man upstairs or whatever. I saw somebody I care about in trouble and felt that I could help. So I did, because that's the right thing to do. I wasn't any instrument. It was just, that's what seemed like the right thing to happen at that time was.
You're such a better person than me. Oh,
no.
Well, and then I go and we're at, the castle and I should have known you have this big plan of how you're going to destroy Strahd's shadow and how you're going to smite this evil from the world and do this amazing thing. And all I can think about is that I'm scared of losing you. And also I'm jealous because I see you and Escher walking hand in hand down the aisle. And I know I have a problem with envy, and I always have my whole life. And I've tried real hard to get over it, but I succumbed to envy, and I should have trusted you instead of tackling you in the middle of the wedding ceremony when you probably had a plan that just got in the way of. And I'm sorry for that too.
Plan. Right.
Well, I saw you destroy that shadow. It was real cool. You used that sword. It was real neat.
Yeah, that was some good improvising that went down.
Improvising?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. All the wedding stuff. My plan was, well, hope something happens, and it did. So, yeah, it was according to plan.
Well, what were you going to do if it didn't happen?
Live a really dark and edgy life.
You were what? You were
I had all my eggs in the hope basket, you could say.
Oh, well, I understand hope. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. But it was a gamble, and it worked. I was like, all right, and that's kind of, I don't know. That's the same reason really I've done anything in my life, in joining you guys, everything with Strahd, it was all just, there's never been a plan. It's just been off of gut feeling.
Really? You never do anything with a plan?
Yeah, it's too much work.
How do you know which direction to go or what thing to do? I mean, I spent my whole life memorizing like lists of rules and ways to battle and precepts and guidelines. And how do you know what to do when?
I don't. I never do. I never do until I've made the decision to do it. And then I just hope that it was the right decision.
Huh.
I'm going to cut in there and jump back to Diath and Strix with Zopa, if that's cool. Right. So you guys are kind of helping Zopa kind of sort out the camp while those two are away chatting away. And Zopa's going to look over to Diath and Strix, and he's oh, you mentioned Sigil and the plains before, Styx. Dangerous place.
My name is Strix. STRIX.
Strix, that's what I said. Foolish tiefling. And he just kind of like points his stick at you. But anyway, you mentioned the plains, Sigil, before. I've heard of these places. Very dangerous. Have you been there recently? Is this part of your adventures? You mentioned some terrible.
As soon as he says recently, Strix just gets on the ground and is like,
oh, dear. Oh. He's just like looking around. He's like, oh, she is with fever. Are you well?
No,
I'm fine.
She's okay.
Oh.
We went there recently. She'll get back up and start doing work again like nothing happened. And just be like, yeah. We'll be back, unfortunately. There's these, I don't really understand it. Maybe you understand it better than me, DF, but I don't know what's happening with this whole mercy killer thing. I don't understand. Who are the Skizzics? Who are they?
I don't know.
But if they're my family, why don't they like you?
I don't know.
Turtle Man, do you know?
I don't know anything. I don't know who you people are. It certainly sounds like you two obviously have some sort of history. If you need some quiet time, I can busy myself. Old Zopa's ears can turn off like
wine is
like
what I need.
Oh, I have some of that. You want some?
Yes.
He like tottles over and he pulls out. He actually pulls out a bottle which I'm guessing maybe Strix would be familiar with. It's actually a bottle of fire wine. That he kind of trottles over and he's like, hey, here you go.
The good stuff.
Pours a little in a cup, hands it over to the pair of you.
Thank you. Strix just like sips it, but also just puts her face in the cup and just doesn't move.
Strix, I think I saw them.
Who?
The Skizzix.
No. What? How did you know?
I don't know for sure. I just is right before I stepped back through the portal. There's a lot of different creatures and things around us, and there's a couple of them there. Definitely tiefling. They're dressed in all black. And the way that they spoke to each other, looked at you.
Did they see
or
you?
even me. Definitely. They definitely saw me.
What does this have to do with you?
I don't know, but just
She's like pulling her hair out now. She's just like, I don't understand.
I don't know what it means, but I think they were there. They know, obviously they know you're alive. They saw me, they saw you. I haven't been able to piece anything together yet, but.
Did you see anything else?
No, just them. And I got out of there as soon as I could.
The only thing we could do is just, I guess, just keep trying to stay away from them, from Sigil. There's nothing else we could do.
We'll get to the bottom of it eventually.
Yeah, we'll get to the bottom of the Skizzix chasm.
What even is that? What is that word?
Chasm is a word. I don't think that's a word. I tried to think about it, and I've never heard that word before. Someone made it up. They made it up. They're assholes, and they make up words.
Damn it.
They're prone to do that.
Assholes, or do you know anything, Turtle Man? She just like...
Zopa, have you heard of the word chasm before? Chasm? Chasm?
I've traveled across Faerun, but there's very little of the plains that I do know. But I have not known the two of you very long, but you seem a smart pair. I'm sure that whatever troubles, you will be able to overcome together.
Have you ever heard of the Mercy Killers, Zopa?
I have not, I'm afraid, my dear Strix.
You don't want to.
No one ever
I
should.
will keep that. Oh, I'm well beyond any threat to anyone. Old Zopa is not long for this world now. I am just enjoying one last adventure, one last trip across a few lands I remember, and then I'll settle in to join Mother Saloon for all of eternity.
Oh, Saloon.
Anyway.
She's nice.
Oh, she is. I look up, and whenever I can see the moon and the sun, it pleases me greatly. Because always remember, you may worry about tomorrow, Strix, or you may fret about yesterday, but today is the present, and that is a gift. And he just kind of like toodles back over to his little fire. He carries on. Do you guys want to, should we jump to the other guys again, or do you guys want to keep going?
Yeah, jump back to them. Strix is just going to keep screaming.
I think Evylyn has found some mushrooms finally, so she's kind of like she's putting some in the basket, and she's showing Paulton for approval, and she's putting some more in there.
Very good.
Yeah, she's putting the word, and she's like, "So if you never plan anything, why did you just in the moment decide to come with us at that time in the bar?"
It was a toss-up. It was looking at where work was taking me, looking at how many establishments were no longer in need of my services. It seemed like it was time to do something drastic, something different. And it felt like running off with some strangers that gave me the invite was the only other option. So
it was like a desperate career move, not like
less a desperate move, and just it was more of a coin toss, let's say. It was, well, I could go with them. I have no idea what's there, or I could stay here and play these shit gigs for these people who don't even care. I said, well, unknown seems a little more interesting than boring.
So I guess we just all happen to be in the right place at the right time, because if anyone in the entire world had asked you to follow them, you probably in that moment would have said yes, huh?
Not necessarily. I might have recognized you after like the like 20th performance or something like that. At that point, I said, you know what? This person has been consistently showing up. So in retrospect, running off with a super fan, maybe not the smartest in the moment decision, but it was something, and glad I did.
After the 20th I came to like 200 of your performances, so you recognized me like you knew who I was for a long time.
Was it really like 200? Okay, to be fair, I only remember maybe like 40 or so.
I mean, I'm not very good at counting or anything, so who knows?
Oh,
really.
Who knows? No one can know. Of course not.
I mean, no. That's nice that you knew my face. I like to think that maybe that, I don't know. That's nice. She's kind of like standing way too close to him, and she's like, that's nice. And then she's like, mushrooms.
Mushrooms. Yes.
Yeah. She looks
those are, you think, how are we doing on mushrooms? How are we doing on the search?
I think we have enough.
You've probably got a few. Yeah. You've got a small basket, I imagine.
All right. Do you want to head back? I have plenty. Thanks for your help.
No problem. That's what I'm here for. Maybe we should start heading back. Yeah.
Okay. She kind of like flutters along next to him, and she's like, you could keep playing if you wanted to.
It's like, oh, right, sure. Mandolin's back out and just start plucking away again on the walk back.
I like that new one. She just kind of dances along.
Awesome. Yeah, so you guys would probably pop back into the campsite. I'm guessing Strix and Dieth would hear you guys coming with once you enter the bubble.
We always hear Evylyn.
Yeah, so you just hear her like churning away, and like you can hear this kind of faint mandolin music playing, and you can see like the smells are starting to increase now. You can sense like there's a big kind of bubbling vat of water, and you can see Zopa is just adding what appears to be some herbs and things like that into it. And he kind of looks up. He's like, "Oh, good, yes, bring me your basket, metal girl, yes." And he kind of starts going through. He sniffs them. He tastes a few, throws a few away, and then he starts sorting all of those out to go in the thing.
Did I do
now,
good?
There's one. Oh, you did very well. Yes, some of them poisonous, but mostly okay, mostly fine.
It's a good thing Paulson didn't pick any, because I can't get poisoned.
Very good thing, actually. Yes.
Yeah, that sounds great.
He's like, now there's one last thing I need. And he kind of looks over. He's like, let's see. Metal girl, you do not seem very tired. Could you
I don't get tired.
Excellent, even better, very useful. You and young Master Woodrow, if you can help me just put the finishing touches on the food. Strix. Perhaps you should accompany Lord Zarovich into and gather some things. Do you happen to know what? And he says the name of a bark. Willow bark happens to look like. It is quite common in some.
I do.
Around. If you could fetch me some of that, that would be most marvelous.
All right.
You know, for a count, I'm doing an awful lot of fetch quests here.
Look, no one is going alone so that we don't die.
And of course, your leadership is needed, my lord. You need ensure that such tasks are carried out as well as the mushroom picking.
Paulton just throws his head back. He's like, guys, today's borderline non-canon. We're not going to die.
What? Cannons? I like cannons. Wait, I don't know what a cannon is.
All right, Strix will lead Paulton into the forest and just be like, you're just coming with me for cannon fodder, speaking of cannon.
It's fine.
Hard work will do you good. Scrawny legs.
He does not have scrawny legs. They're fine. I mean, what?
Oh, really? Mm.
And then, whatever.
Excuse me, sir. I
Yeah,
take
you're in
much
the
offense
jungle.
to this. Oh, we're in the jungle. We left. I will tell him, excuse me, sir, once we get back. I felt him insult my legs.
And yeah, Zopa will just basically put Evylyn and Dieth to work, helping him kind of brown the meat and start stirring the stew, adding in vegetables and things as they go. And he kind of looks over to Dieth. He's like, "What is? I notice you have quite a little charm around your neck there, young Master Woodrow."
Oh,
Yes, Zopa has good eyes, poor hearing, but good eyes.
oh,
What
yeah.
what is this?
It's an amethyst.
Oh,
Just
it's quite a
to keep
nice. From your adventuring days?
Yeah, actually.
Ah. I've carried a few trinkets in my time. Is it sentimental or magical?
It's definitely just sentimental.
Hmm.
It's
Sometimes they are the most important treasures, aren't they?
it's really not that interesting of a story.
Yeah.
It's so Evylyn, have I ever told you this?
No, I'm really interested. I think
Oh.
all your stories are interesting.
Oh, all right. Well, again, it's really not interesting, but this is even before I met Strix. So it was really early on in my adventuring days. And I use that term kind of loosely because I was always by myself. I wasn't really much of an adventurer. And I didn't really like help people or go out and solve problems or save anything or whatever. But I had to make money somehow. So when you stay around in Waterdeep long enough, eventually you just kind of learn where the best places to be to overhear the right boisterous people. And I happened to be at a tavern, and there's a party of adventurers there loudly boasting about their accomplishments. They said they helped save the city of Flan, but I don't know if I really believe them. That place is always in trouble. But they had mentioned that there was they talked about how they completely cleared out this cave of gnolls, slayed them all, took their belongings. Now they're rich, and they were just giving out free drinks at the bar. Naturally, I took one. But
Well, obviously.
I actually knew where this gnoll cave was because I had heard about it from other people. But since they had cleared it out, that's where I make my mark. So I made sure I went back to that same cave and I found that lair. And sure enough, they did a pretty thorough job. They had there's plenty of gnoll bodies around. They had taken everything from them. There wasn't much weapons left. Everything had been pretty ransacked through. But they make the same mistake that a lot of other people do, and they only ever see what's on the surface. Mm-hmm. So knowing that, I found a cluster of barrels that basically had it was like expired foodstuffs in it by this point. It had been probably like several days, maybe even a week since they cleared it out. And it was just all expired food. It smelled really, really bad. But you always got to look for the hiding places of where people want to hide their personal belongings. So I moved one barrel. It was the first barrel. I just slid it over. And sure enough, right there was a small pouch. It was probably someone's secret stash. One of the gnolls probably trying to hide it from the others. And he didn't even do a good job. I think he took a single handful of dust and sprinkled it on top. That somehow would camouflage it further. But inside that little pouch, there was just a handful of silver, a bit of copper. And inside of that was this amethyst, which it was the first treasure I ever got. And even though I may not have had to do a whole lot to get it, it just ended up being really important to me. And a lot of people tried to get me to sell it. Everyone's like, yeah, you could probably get, at least several gold for it. And I can't do it. because I never want to lose my most precious treasure. It's a reminder of where I came from, who I am, and what I'm capable of. And it's something I just can't let go of. I know people have talked about me with it or given me looks, but I don't care. It's too important to me. And I never want to lose it.
I wonder
Keep it close. Keep it close.
I wonder if maybe you should tell it how important it is to you.
I mean, it's still here. I still got it. So
Yeah, but
that's all. It's like I said, it's not a very interesting story, but there you go. I found it.
Oh,
It's
I've
mine.
collected many stories, Master Woodrow. There is no uninteresting stories. There are always ones that just matter to us differently. I like your story. I like it. Thank you for sharing with me.
Diaz is just, isn't he just one of the smartest people you've ever, I mean, like looking for treasure where others don't. That's exactly what makes Zopa, he's like our shepherd, you know? When I was learning all about Lathander and how to learn his will, because, you know, you have to listen for his will and interpret it, right? And part of it is just reflecting and being still and hearing his voice. But sometimes that doesn't work for all of us. Not all of us can hear his voice all the time. I mean, who knows? He's never spoken directly to me except that one time, kind of. Anyway, long story. But, you know, then sometimes you have to look at your problems, because he speaks to you through your problems and the challenges and what he can teach you through those things. But I think most of all, Lathander speaks to us through what he calls the shepherds, the people who at first glance they seem just like, you know, a common person and a flawed person, because Lathander works most through flawed people, and it's those people that show you the true way by just knowing and noticing and helping you see things that you didn't see before. And that's what Diaz is.
I like that. I like that phrase. I remember the teachings of Saloon. They say that moonlight highlights a broken path easier than a perfect one. Yes, I like this.
Diaz, I've never said thank you to you, have I?
Thank you for what?
Well, I mean, for plenty of things, but I guess I know how lucky I am to have been born into the family I was born into, but I never got to really feel what it was like to have a family. Not really. And you kind of made one out of all of us. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I guess. I don't know. It wasn't something I tried to do. It just sort of happened. So I never really had much family either. Not ones I can speak highly of.
Well, you know where to look for it seems.
Yeah. I'm glad to have you around, Evylyn.
Ah, shucks.
Strix and Polton, is there anything you guys wanted to talk about while you're out doing chores?
I want some of your wine.
You got it, fam.
These two are just like getting drunk in the woods. And
Paulton is long gone at this point. After too much real talk with Evylyn, he's just like, all right, time to forget.
Strix like takes it out of his hand. She's like, why the hell do you drink so much?
Why the hell don't you?
Because I would fireball someone. One of these days you're going to cast Crown of Madness on me and we're all going to die.
I wouldn't do that.
You're drunk. How do you know it's me or not?
Like, holy shit. How do I?
See? That's why I can't drink all the time.
I'm like looking at her like, do I do it? Should I do it?
No, stop it.
What? You would say that. You phony.
I'm gonna
all right, I won't do it.
Thank you. Also, I have your wine, so if you get close to me.
Oh, yeah, I need that.
No.
I need that.
Keep it on there and keep drinking.
No, I need it.
Paulson, you have to stop drinking so much. You don't need to forget. What are you trying to forget?
Well, here's the thing. It works, so I can't remember.
She'll just start like gathering the bark on the ground, but it's just like she's pulling way too much off the tree to where it's just like ripping chunks off of it, like angrily. She's just like, Paulson, you just have to work on showing emotion. You don't like you're tearing this family apart.
Look, I don't, it makes it easier, you know?
How long is it going to be easy until one of us accidentally dies from you casting a spell on us and not?
I'm not gonna cast a spell on you guys, all right? Look, I lose enough people I care about without my help. So who says that, like, why would I do it myself?
Is that why you drink so much?
I'm just like, shut up.
Strix picks up the bark and slams it into his chest and is like, carry this.
All right.
We only have each other, Paulson, and if you don't act like they matter, then we're all going to die.
It's like, well, they do. And that's why I do that. You know? I don't know. When you're a kid and like everything's taken from you.
You don't think I know that?
Yeah, well, good on you for being able to cope in your own way. You cope in your way, I cope with mine.
There's no reason why we need to cope. We have each other. All of us, we don't need to do that anymore.
And what happens when that's no longer a factor? What happens when we don't have each other?
That's not going to happen.
You don't know that, and that's why I'm prepping. Because if it does happen, I'll be ready for it. And you know, when you're numb to shit and bad shit happens, then you're just like, it's cool, man. I'd rather be that.
That's not going to happen.
You don't know that. It almost happened.
She's just so mad. It's not going to happen again.
Like, it almost happened. I was a freaking crow. And I watched one person I care about almost fall to some kind of weird tentacle monster thing. And I'm not super into that. So I know it could happen. It's almost happened several times. So why not just prep for it and make it easier?
She's like 10 feet away now because she just ran angrily. And
like, no, you come back. And I'm like,
no! Keep holding no! She just picks up some more bark along the way and just keep running. I'm not going to argue with it. It's not going to happen again. I was alone for 50 years. I'm never losing anyone again.
Do you like come running back into the camp, Strix?
Yeah.
So you like basically
she's just like, it's fine. I just cut some onions.
We don't have onions.
Zopa kind of like looks over and it's just like, oh, well, perhaps Zopa shall, I'll deal with the last matters, but give that to me here, Strix. You sit down. And he kind of looks over at Polton and he's like, you, my lord, sit, all of you sit.
Evylyn comes and sits next to Strix and kind of like tries to comfort her. And she's like, are you okay? She's kind of like petting her. She's like, are you okay? What's going on?
At this, Strix just like beside herself at this point, just like staring at the ground.
Palton is still whining with wine, not whining. There is more wine.
Strix, are you freaking out about losing us again? You're not going to lose us.
No.
Because we're not going to lose you. You know why? Because we love you. I love you. Have I ever told you that before? I love you. I freaking love you. So there. And I've never...
From her arm, she's just like, thank you.
I hear this and I'm just like, that doesn't cut it. That's not enough. That doesn't stop shit from killing you. That just makes the sentiment nice for now.
Love's not enough? Love's the only thing that's enough.
Not when there's when there's literal like gods and whatever, like you think like, oh, like there's this freaking Like that horrifying thing that I never want to talk about again that tried to take you was just like, oh, I better let her go because she has luck. No, he didn't give a shit.
If you hadn't saved me, then I would have got. And even if you hadn't, if I had been swallowed by that thing, you know what would have transcended it? Love. Because you know what I would have kept doing? Loving all of y'all. So it's the only thing that's more powerful than God's. It's the only thing that's more powerful than a soulmonger or a tentacle thing. It's the only thing that really matters.
And she's right. I don't think I would have survived all that time without thinking about all of you. And Strix will like go into her robes and take out 3 packages. And she hands them to all of you. And she looks at all of
like
you.
This?
Like that. Yeah.
The fuck's this?
They've apparently been in her robes for like a long time, so please be careful when you open them. She doesn't say anything.
What are these?
They're gifts.
I want you to have them because there's contracts inside of them. I figure if stupid Omen could have a contract, then you should all have contracts too. But
contracts? Look, mine has a sunflower on it. Do you get it? 'Cause sun and flowers. So nice.
I had these when I was alone. And they were my companions, and they kept me stay alive. And when you were back, when you were finally back, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't understand because these things were still you to me. That's why I didn't react, because I didn't understand that you were back. But after we killed the Mercy Killer, I knew that I wasn't going to lose you. I wasn't going to lose you guys.
Evylyn's having a lot of trouble opening up string with her like constructy fingers, so she kind of like holds it out to you for help.
Paul is
Strix will
so
help her.
far gone, and knots are like rocket science to him.
Strix will just like take the scissors off of her robe and just be like, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, it
He
worked.
definitely took a knife to his.
Sorry, Zopa, I don't have a present for you.
Like, oh, that's not very nice.
That's fine, my dear. Your company has been quite the gift as it is.
Oh, that's
He
so
comes
sweet.
over and he kind of like puts he like kind of rests a little kind of turtle hand on your shoulder and just
Aw.
kind of he just kind of leans in and he's just like this is a very nice thing you've done.
There's like,
These are good people.
oh.
Look, they've been in the robes for 50 years, all right?
Yeah, I can tell by the feathers.
There's a lot of feathers.
There's so many feathers.
So Dieth just kind of starts looking at his what was inside of his, and takes note of the little ring of keys here. There's a coffin nail where his sword would be, and there's even a little amethyst right here.
Sorry about the feathers. I wanted to keep them fresh.
I like the feathers. I think they probably smell real nice too, even though I can't smell them.
Paul's looking at his. Aw. Like, oh, you even have the little wine. Wow, I do drink a lot, huh?
It was the only thing I could put in your free hand.
I might have a problem, guys.
This is me? With
I
a
mean,
little sun?
When you spend 50 years in Barovia, Evylyn, it's you kind of lose what everyone looks like.
I love it.
So
I think
it's
it
as
looks
close
just
as I
like
can get.
me.
But I don't care what you do with them. Burn them.
No.
Whatever. Because it doesn't matter, because I'm not losing the real any of you anymore. Just set them on fire.
Oh, she even has little wings on her feet.
I also don't remember what I wrote in your contracts because I stole Paulton's wine while I was doing it.
Oh, there's a contract. I better go get it.
Ooh, I'm going to read mine first. Aww. It says, I will always be your friend, Strix. Is that true? You'll always be my friend?
Of course it's true! I didn't get to say it before you died!
Well, I love that. I've never really had an always friend before. Thanks, Strix.
Oh. Seems to be the best kind of contract of all.
Strix is just gonna walk away and just start like drawing chalk lines around the the dome again, just to be.
No, what did the other one say?
Paulton's like staring at his, just hand over his mouth, just like tears are welling up. And he just looks at Strix. It's like, do you mean this?
Yes, Paulton.
Oh my God. No one's ever said anything so thoughtful to me. It says, I will find you more wine. I'm like, no, Strix, I will find you more wine too. And dirt. You like dirt, right?
Maybe you drink less wine and give me some.
No promises.
Diaz, what's yours say?
I promise I won't run away.
I mean, hopefully it's not because my legs are broken.
Strix, where's yours?
Oh, I got rid of mine. I didn't need mine.
Oh.
Because I had you guys. I talked to those. Not in a barmy way. I knew they weren't real, mostly.
Oh, I love it.
Paulton stumbles over the Strix. He's like, you crazy demon thing, come here. And like, just.
Oh, I love group hugs. Evylyn jumps on. Diaz,
like,
come on.
you're not getting away. I don't care how much you scream.
I'm screaming.
Both hugging her from both sides. Diaz, come on. Come join the group hug.
Yeah,
All right.
boy.
All right, fine.
Go on, Master Woodrow.
Diaz goes over and also hugs.
Yay.
And then
Hey, you too, Turtle.
No, if I go for a hug, who will serve this stew for you?
Oh, true. Stew's up.
while Diaz is hugging, he'll say, Strix, if you ever find or make another one, let me know. I'll trade you.
I can make another one. What do you want? Sticks? I can use she starts like going into her robes, like excited, like, oh, I think I have something for it.
Paulton takes his doll over to Simon. He's like, look, buddy, it's your, I actually haven't established what the relationship with you two is, but there's something there. All right, well, you keep being a good boy.
Evylyn is trying to tell Waffles, like, no, this is not a toy. You can't chew on this. No, not a chew toy. No.
Does Waffles listen now?
Yeah, she's very well trained.
Okay.
Strix spent 50 years training her, so she's
Okay.
exceptionally well trained for an
She
owlbear.
knows.
Yeah,
Nice.
she's well trained.
So yeah, I guess like Zopa will serve out. It's a really sort of he kind of gives you all different shaped sort of wooden or stone or shell bowls, and it's kind of full of this really sort of hearty, sweet smelling, heavy stew. And he kind of tears off a bread with parsley that he pulls out from a pack, and the fire wine is kind of sent around to all of you as well to fill your cups. This kind of really heady cinnamony kind of wine. And he kind of turns to Paulton. He's like, now I know I've made you do a lot of work, my lord, but could you perhaps give us a little song while we eat? You seem to be a man of musical talents.
Fine by me. No. I'll take out the bagpipes. It's just really, really loud. Just,
Oh, yes. Siren's noise to my ears. Oh, beautiful.
It is, isn't it? It's real pretty.
it's like mid-blow, just like, it's a good song.
It's a
Paulton, I never heard the story of like how you learned to play music. Where did you go to like conservatory or something?
I was interested in this.
I picked it up when I was young, along the way.
Taught by family, perhaps, or?
Not exactly. They weren't around.
Ah, my apologies.
No, it's fine. Wasn't their fault. It was some dickhole doing his job.
What do you mean? What happened to them?
They were taken care of on someone else's agenda, and so I don't remember much of them, and so anyway, this stew is definitely stew, I must say. Fantastic.
It is stew indeed, my young friend.
It's like,
What if
Evelyn's like trying to pretend like she's eating it so that she doesn't like seem rude. So she's like, like throwing it behind her.
I'm like, yes, it will help your gears. Grease them up well, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, delicious. I can taste it.
And what has been the most exciting thing you have all done? You must have some good memories of your adventures. Anything that you can think of? An exciting tidbit for old Zopa to carry into his last years?
Yeah, before Strahd killed all of them for maybe the second time, I threw myself at him bodily.
You what?
Oh. Yeah, I just jumped off my broom and smashed into him.
Strix,
whole body.
Why?
What?
That's so reckless.
Because I didn't want him to get away and for all of you to die, and then that's exactly what happened. But I did knock him off his horse.
That's so brave. How did you escape?
I ran away.
Well, that's a good kind of running away.
Not really. I shouldn't have run away.
No.
Well, we're fine now.
It's fine. Let's think about the exciting things we did. Like when we fought Winter Splinter. That was fun.
Oh, one time, she like gets into storytelling mode with Zopa, and she's like, one time we met a fearsome monster, like a tree, but giant. And Diaz, what else? It was like it had scary eyes and it made a big scary sound. And then we were like, no. And then he was like, rah. And then we were like, ooh. And then pow. And then he was like, and she's like trying to tell a story, but she's looking at Diaz like,
we were in a place called Barovia, and Winter Splinter was, imagine a treant who woke up on the wrong side of the bed, but was also 10 times the normal size. This Goliath lumbering lumber was making his way towards, a place of innocence to people who were surely gotten crushed, and we were the only people there ready to stop him. So, man, this thing was massive, but Evylyn did not hesitate to just fly right in front of it, start swinging away with her axe. Paulton, Strix, and I rode up on horseback, and
that's right. We did have horses before they all got eaten.
No, they're still fine. We just left them behind, and we'll go get them later.
Yeah, this is also before everyone could fly. This is back when Evylyn could fly.
Those were dark times.
Yes. Yeah,
but now we can all fly. It's great.
Except
it is quite a handy talent to have, isn't it?
But
strange that more people don't learn how to do it here in Faerun.
I know, right?
Yep. All right. Look, Strix was able. It was a time where we'd really come together. I feel like, I don't know, maybe for the first time, but it was one that I knew that who we all are and why we should be together. The way this hulking giant was on its way to destroy everything. Evylyn not hesitating to slow it down, whatever it took. Paulton supplying me basically what I needed to make a makeshift Molotov cocktail. And I was on the side climbing it like an idiot. And Strix threw a fireball, allowed me to light it, and I just threw it in the mouth of this thing. And the whole thing just blew up, just an explosion of fire, of sticks and wood falling everywhere.
Turns out Evylyn can make effects noises like C-3PO when he's telling stories.
Paulton was Paulton weekend just before that. He gave it a crazy look, cursed it. It was magnificent. I had never felt more proud of every single one of my party members just then. It was a selfless act by everybody.
You know, we kind of forgot about it, but we did that with the gargoyles too, right before the ritual.
The gargoyles.
That was one of the best, or whatever those things were that were flying around, and we were in that kind of cave thing, and we were like,
oh, right.
Yeah, you know, see,
Right.
we kind of forgot about it, but that was one of our coolest, most epic. We just smashed them.
Yeah, I guess I don't remember that one as well.
I usually don't remember when we win. I only remember when someone dies.
Well, I didn't die. I mean, right after that, I did. I mean, I did die, but then I came back in my son's remade body. Have you told Simon about that, Paulton? She looks at him kind of nervously.
I just like kind of cover Simon's ears.
Sorry. I mean, in this strange body that the toy maker made from scratch that was not intended to, what?
Zopa is looking very confused between Evylyn, Paulton, and Simon, as if there is some sort of familial connection that he's not sussed out somehow, because he sees robot woman and a human man and then a small robot boy. And family is a strange thing indeed.
Very strange. You don't even know.
I am a very old and wise turtle, but clearly I do not.
Have you ever seen anyone like me before?
I have seen, not like you. I have seen creatures of metal and stone that could move, but they did not think the way that you do. I have heard tell that there is planes, a place called Mechanicus that may have creatures that have gears and whirling gizmos.
Oh, yeah, we were attacked by those. Oh, yeah. That's when the Mercy Killer came to get me.
Oh, but perhaps that is all I've ever heard of in my long travels.
I hope not all of them are bad. I hope there's some good ones.
I think, like all things in life, you will find that there is good and bad of all such things, perhaps. Yeah. Except maybe demons and devils. They're generally pretty bad.
That's true. But I'm not either of those. In fact,
I am.
You're not.
You are a tiefling, yes?
Yes, but that's part devil.
Yes, you have the devil blood, but you are still you, yes? You get to make your own choices.
I hope so.
I think so. I do not think a demon or devil would give such gifts to friends. I think that you are made of good stuff, Sticks.
Dang, good stuff. You're good Sticks.
Not you too!
You're the best Sticks I've ever seen. And I am tired.
Yes, I think perhaps we should get some rest. But can this old turtle just give you one last piece of advice to such young soft shells as all of you?
Soft shells.
Well, that is what I call you people, strange non-shell types. But you all seem to be, well, just listening to your tales and the things that I have overheard, you are all very good to each other, and you worry too much about what perhaps others think. Do you know what I told my sons before I left on my old journey? They asked me, Papa, what is the best step in a journey? And I said to them, it is not the first, and it is not the last. It is the next one. And I think that you will continue making those next steps between each other, and you will drag each other at points, and you will help each other along the way. But I'm sure you will all be there for every step that you take. And, before you go, I will give you a little something. And he kind of pours the leftover stew into like a little sealed up container, and he gives the fire wine to Paulton. And then he he gives over a couple of what are called fire cloves to Strix. And he's just like, these will keep the food warm for a few days. Keep yourselves well traveled. You are welcome to rest here. I think I will stay up and watch the moon for a little. I only have a few years left, and I wish to take it in as I do. But don't mind me. Old Zopa will just be here if you have any last words.
And he kind of like soodles up to a little sort of like thing, little Yoda style log. And he kind of looks and he kind of just looks up.
I like him. Dia, can we keep him?
No, we're not going to keep him.
He's sentient. He's not a pet.
Well, I mean, you guys keep me.
That's
Different.
I'm so confused.
I just want him to join the party. I like him. He's smart and wise.
well, he's on his own journey, Evylyn, and so are you. So let's not take him away from his journey just for our own selfish reasons.
Yeah, plus we like run a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never
he's
run.
not very quick.
I hate running.
Paulton, I never wanted any harm to come to it or to you. Sorry, not to it, to him. Back to the Yak Village after Simon was crushed. It's not that I just wanted to make sure everyone was going to be safe, and I didn't know if that was possible with him around. I was just trying to do what I thought was right, and I saw the anger and the hatred in your eyes. And I wanted you to know that I only was trying to do what I thought was best for you and for everyone. I'm sorry. I can see him here now, and I see the way you guys look at him and the way you treat him, and I was wrong.
Paulton bends down to Simon and picks him up and goes, "Say it into the microphone."
Come on, we don't have to.
Tell him, say he's a good boy.
Stop.
Dia,
I feel stupid.
do it.
Fine. Simon, I am sorry. You're a good boy.
Turn around like, yay! He's a good boy. We put him down.
Uncle Diaz loves you, Simon. Don't you, Uncle Diaz?
It's like, yeah, you don't have to kill him anymore.
What?
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 Hey, that was a nice moment.
Little one is dying.
Sorry, I just try to do what I think is right by all of you. I know I don't always do that correctly, but I do try.
You do a fine job, Diaz.
You do a great job.
It's not.
Why do you beat yourself up so much?
Because it's not easy.
Well, yeah, life's not easy, but you don't have to beat yourself up so much for it.
It's not that I don't beat myself up over it. It's
You don't.
I've made a lot of mistakes.
Look at all of us.
Yeah, I don't think saving me in an alleyway was a mistake. Unless you
No,
think it was.
that wasn't. No, it definitely wasn't.
Because everything for me has just been a giant mistake, except for everyone here. She's like eating the soup like a crazy person. Like,
I don't understand why all of you look to me or look for me for direction or whatever. I've screwed up a lot and I've done a lot of bad things. And I don't even know if I can ever properly even keep us all safe or making sure we're going to the right place.
No, you
I'm
have
sorry.
to. Strix is just gonna like look at it and be like, you have to. You're the only one that can. You have to. If you say we're not, then we're gonna die.
Evelyn kind of puts like a hand on his shoulder. She's like, Diaz, I usually know what's right. I can usually feel it. but I don't always know how to go in the right direction toward it. And you usually seem to. And yeah, I know you're flawed, but show me a perfect person and I will renounce everything I know about the world. I know that the Lord works most through people who are flawed, and that's why we look to you, because you said it yourself. You know where to look to find the good things in life, the treasures, the right things. I'll keep telling you where the right thing is, and you just keep telling me how to get there.
Evylyn, can I show you something?
Okay.
DF will actually lead Evylyn outside of the tent and
You
out
guys
into
better
the
not
jungle.
die out there.
We're not going to die, Strix.
Paulson, give me your wine.
Oh, God. Here you go.
Thank you. She just takes it really angrily.
So DF will lead Evylyn kind of throughout the jungle and basically try to find a. It's middle of the night, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's super laid out, clear skies. But we try to get out somewhere in the jungle where there's a clearing within the canopy, and the trees and the vines up above, so that we can see up to the sky. And that's where DF will lead Evylyn. And after he gets there, he'll point up to them and point her attention up that way. And he'll start to say, I look at these every night. All the different stars every night before I go to bed. And they say that this night sky is a lot like our world. It's covered in darkness. But you can see throughout all of that darkness, there's just little points of light breaking through. And now each one of those points of light in our world is places that are safe, different towns, different cities, wherever people can be to come together and be safe. Now, they also say that sailors, when out on sea, when they're lost, they look to these stars for guidance. They use these to find their way home, trying to follow this light. Every night before I go to bed, I look at these stars. And I can tell you, not one of them shines as bright as you. I don't always know what's right, Evylyn. And when I don't, I look to you.
For once in the entire history of our game, Evylyn is speechless. And if she could cry, you can tell that she probably would, but instead you just see a deep glowing kind of in the corners of her eyes. And
after, go ahead.
She just holds out one hand for like a warrior grip.
Okay. And DS will take that. And as he takes that grip, looking into her eyes, he'll say, I still see it every time.
You still see what?
Even now in your current form, I still see the way you look at Paulton every time. Don't give up, Evylyn. Maybe you don't see it, but I sure do. And I think, well, maybe I hope, I think a small part of Paulton sees it too, even if he doesn't want to admit it. Don't give up, Evie.
I know that I will never give up on any of you for any reason ever. Because it's clear to me that there's a reason that I'm here with you. And I thought at first it was selfish of me to want so badly to be part of this family, but If I'm a guiding light, it's only because I'm in the right place where I'm supposed to be with all of you, and you are my guiding lights. And I don't know about anything else or what I should expect or what I should get, but I know what I should give.
Thanks, Evylyn.
And speaking of how you look at people, there's someone you shouldn't give up on either. Don't pretend you don't know what I'm talking about. If there's one thing I know how to spot, it's love.
At this point, Diaz kind of looks down in a way, and his expression kind of turns to a pained sadness.
Look, you've done a real good job taking care of her so far.
Yeah.
Did I mean, it's nice to get to talk to you like this, Diaz. We never get to really chat very much, do we?
No, I don't think so.
Thanks for those nice things you said. You really think I'm a guiding light? Because I feel like I'm real silly most of the time.
No, you're definitely a light.
Well, if I am, you are too. And don't you get down on yourself again. We're paralyzed when you feel paralyzed. When you feel scared, we feel scared. You've made mistakes, but we all make mistakes. And sometimes your mistakes are what lead us in the right direction anyway. So don't get like you got after Iron Slag ever again.
It's that faint moonlight coming down, highlighting the two in the clearing.
I don't know if I can promise that, but I'll certainly try my hardest.
That's all anyone can ask.
Just as long as you don't give up on me.
Never. And she just gives him a huge hug, like unbridled, just like.
Just a little bit crunch.
Yeah. Come on.
It was like his kind of arms kind of crushed. He's like kind of back.
You can hear the soft sounds of Cholt in the background, just a few animal sounds and things.
You can also hear the screaming of drunk Strix.
Just echoing.
What are you guys doing all this time?
Oh, we're getting trashed.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Strix is just trashed at this point. She's like, I don't know this. Just like drinking the wine, like rolling around on the ground.
Have Evylyn and DF come back yet, or are they still?
So after hearing like the Strix scream, I imagine we can even still hear that from there. So like even DF even kind of like looks back at that just almost instinctively because he hears Strix and just kind of looks back to make sure it was a I'm upset scream and not a I'm in trouble scream.
I think she's fine, but we should get back. And she just kind of like gives him one more hug and she's like, I'm thankful that you're part of my family, Diaz. And I don't know how really what that means too much, but I know that I will never let go of any of you. And I know that you'll never let go of any of us. Will you?
No.
I mean, how long's it been that you've loved us a little while, but how long has it been that you've loved Strix?
Since the moment I saw her eyes not clouded with fear.
That happens more and more often when she's with you.
Evylyn, please don't tell her.
Why not?
It's easier if you don't. And then Dieth will start returning back to camp.
Starts heading this
And
way.
she's just after him like, what? But she can't get any words out before he gets back.
You guys start making your way back, Dieth leading the way, and you kind of hear the sounds of drunken Strix and Polton just drunk crying and hauling. And you can hear these kind of faint sounds of the jungle behind you, and it's kind of the occasional canopy is broken up by moonlight, and you can still see the kind of, it's a very bright moon, and the stars are really kind of shining down, and the campfire is beginning to crackle and burn down low, and that heavy smell of wood smoke is kind of filling the air. And you just kind of hear, off to the distance, you can see Zopa kind of still looking up at the moon, and you can begin to hear him kind of humming that tune that you heard when you first kind of met him, this kind of almost like a little sea song of kind of just like, my pretty shell girl sat by the sea. And he's just kind of whistling and humming to himself. And as you kind of get back, it's kind of drowned out by Strix and Polton on occasion. But then you kind of, where they fall quiet, you just hear this kind of very gentle music on the sea. And as you're running past, Zopa does kind of hold the cane out a little bit to Evylyn to kind of stop Evylyn from really like catching up with Dieth. And he kind of just kind of gives a really sort of very kind and slow smile to her, and he just kind of says, "It's just like, oh, what is the rush?"
She's like plops down next to him. She's like, life is so confusing, Zopa.
Oh yes, and you do not know the half of it.
I know. I just can't grasp even any of it.
I would say that from what I have heard this evening and what I have seen, you grasp many things, but all of us must grasp them in our own way. Young Master Woodrow must deal with things in his own way. Like I said, the most important step in every journey is the next one. But somebody can't move your legs for you. Somebody can't sail the rowboat for you. You must do it yourself. And he will.
Speaking of the next step, we've got a pretty big one. We should get some rest, guys. We're almost to Omo.
Dieth's back at camp, right?
Yeah, he's kind of come back now, yeah.
So do I notice that he looks like he's been a little emotional?
He's been chopping onions.
Some onions in there.
Polton, roll an insight check.
Whoa!
I think it would be.
Oh, that would be a 16.
He always rolls when it counts. You didn't
So
even need to roll.
I'll roll my own bluff check or deception.
Yeah,
And
I'd say
then-
deception and performance probably would make sense, right?
Probably
to kind of
deception.
keep it kind of in
It's
check.
the same for me, so it doesn't matter.
There you
All
go.
right. I rolled a 4. So yeah, you notice.
Whoa!
So I see Dieth has been very upset. I say, come here.
No, I'm all right.
Dieth.
I'm not.
I go to him
Mm-hmm.
and I put my hands on his face and I lean my head against his. I'm just like, I'm sorry, but you and me will never happen. I just give him a little ruffle. And then I just, from there, without even stepping away, I just slowly, and I pass out drunk.
Evylyn sees him fall. She's like,
Strix has already passed out, by the way. She's probably just like by waffles, just on the ground, like snoring, like. Ugh.
You know what?
Zopa comes up and puts a blanket over Strix. He's just kind of like laid it over her, like
That
this
seems
old, kind
like-
of really worn sea salt smelling blanket.
She loves it. She's like,
This seems like the best time to end this
no,
episode.
wait. I have to ask
Oh, do you-
Zopa something.
Okay.
We have time. We still have 10 minutes.
All right, fine.
Anna's like, God damn it, no!
Make it
I
fast.
will get my 10 minutes.
Okay.
So he covers Strix in a blanket, and Evylyn kind of sees just like how tenderly and wisely he's dealt with all of their shenanigans. And she's like, what was that song you were singing, that Shellgirl song?
Oh, that is the song that me and my life mate used to sing when we were younger. And he just kind of looks and he's just like, she's gone to join Saloon already, which is why I'm taking my last trip
You
to
had
see
a
the
life
world.
mate?
Of course. Well, I have 9 children and 4 grandchildren, all have grown up as turtles on their adventures.
Evylyn like flutters down and like sits cross-legged in front of him. She's like, tell me everything. What's it like having a life mate?
I will tell you, let's let the others get to sleep. I imagine that you do not need it as much. And I will tell you about her, and I will tell you about our children and their adventures. And he just kind of, I'm guessing maybe like Diath kind of settles in, Polton's already collapsed, and Diath kind of hears the last kind of fragments of the story as he begins telling Evylyn all about his wife and his children and things like that. And yeah, like in the evening, does Evylyn sleep? I can't remember, Anna.
No, not really.
She doesn't have to. She can shut down to reset her spells, but she doesn't have to.
So Zopa would probably like encourage you to do that and basically kind of say like, why don't you go check on Master Woodrow? And then you kind of in the evening. And then basically when she becomes aware and the rest of the party kind of wake up, Zopa's gone. The blanket is still over Strix, and there's just a the stick that he was kind of prodding, he was like bashing Evylyn with and kind of pointing and gesturing with. It's still there, and you can see it's carved with all sorts of sea creatures and monsters and, different place names in all different languages. And there's just a single kind of piece of paper which is written on it is just the most important step is the next one. And then that's basically, he leaves that amongst the camp, and there's the stew still remaining. And I think, as you said, Jared, that's a good point for today's episode to wrap up, I think.
There we go. That was episode 73 of Dice Camera Action, Total Recall. Markiums, everybody!
Yay!
Thank you for letting me be part of this really special episode. Like, I'm to be part of it.
We told you it was going to be crazy.
Oh, I loved it.
As we have a few minutes left, any announcements or anything that people would like to plug? Mark, what do you do?
If you'd like to see more D&D with me, you can check out High Rollers Dungeons & Dragons. That's the stream IGM. It's every Sunday at 5 p.m. GMT on twitch.tv/Yogscast. But also, if you'd love to donate some money to charity and get an amazing selection of games, the Yogscast Jingle Jam is our big charity event at the moment. Go to humblebundle.com Yogscast. If you just search Humble Bundle Yogscast, you'll find it. It's $35. You get loads of amazing games every day of December. We've currently raised about $4.1 million for charity so far. You can pick which charities it goes to. It's really amazing. We're going to be doing a High Rollers Christmas special this coming Sunday for it. Please do check it out. It's a thing that everybody puts loads of work in every year, and it's really good. It goes to a lot of good charities, and it's really awesome. And you get a load of good games as well. You get loads of really cool games. I think we've got Tales from Candlekeep in there as well, and we've got some other D&D stuff in there as well. So if you're after that, you can check that out. Idols of the Forgotten Realms and stuff. You can check that out. Thanks you again, guys. Honestly, please, thank you so much for letting me be part of this. I really loved it. I love watching.
We couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah, thanks for helping us out. Anyone else?
That's my plug.
I have a plug. It's not D&D related, but today the game Shantae Half Genie Hero had some DLC release where you can play as 3 new characters. I voiced one of them. It's Boy Bolo. It's very exciting. The gameplay is absolutely amazing, and it was an honor to be a part of it. So go check it out. It's a really cool game.
Cool.
And that's super cool. I have the Friendly Table coming out on Thursday still. And I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Anna, anything?
I have the last Twitch Weekly of the year on Friday on twitch.tv/Twitch. Other than that, it's getting to be that holiday time.
Yeah.
I've got a couple. As always, there's the Dice Camera Action subreddit. Be sure to go on over there and join the sharing of all the different fan art, the stories. Maybe there'll be some discussion from this episode. Look forward to that. I'm looking forward to that. There's also been like a Dice Camera Action Awful Fam writing prompt that we've been doing every week to help kind of prompt people to write some fan fiction about the different characters of the world of Dice Camera Action. or whatever. So be sure to head on over to that. I'll spam it in the chat. So be over to the subreddit and join that community. We love seeing it. You can also join the the Dice Camera Action Discord in the subreddit. There's also a link to that in there. On top of all that, happy December, everybody. We're throughout all of December. I'm celebrating all kinds of things, Dungeons and Dragons related. I'm doing all kinds of stuff over on my Twitch channel, my gameplay channel, my main channel. But the most important one I want to tell you guys about is that I've been doing a D&D December giveaway, which actually ends in just a few days, where I am giving away an entire starter set to anyone who wants to start playing D&D. We got one of those and all 3 books on top of that. There's going to be 4 winners of this entire collection to get started in D&D. So I'll put, it's free entries. Anyone can do that. I'll put and spam that link in the chat as well. Be sure to join that giveaway, and maybe you can win yourself a bunch of free D&D stuff.
Awesome.
All right. If there's nothing else from anyone, be sure to tune in next week where Chris Perkins.
Back and he's going to walk in like
He's going to be like, what?
the room's going to be on fire.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris.
Yep. Chris Perkins will be returning next week, and there may or may not be an additional special guest, which I don't think we're allowed to say yet.
And also, I just wanted to give a shout out to Chris because this is the first time we've ever played without him, and we certainly miss him. So all DM-less playtime jokes aside, Chris, we miss you, and thanks for helping us create this world so that we can even play in it, even when you can't be here. Thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, and with that, I guess we'll see everyone next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.